a slow descent into the ocean. Let's begin at the surface. Right here, where the ocean meets the sky. Where the vastness opens before you, endless and calm. This is where the journey starts. Not with effort, not with striving, but with simply arriving. Arriving at the edge of something ancient. Something that has been here long before you, and will remain long after. The ocean. And as you stand here, or sit here, or simply imagine yourself here, something begins to happen. Your mind starts to slow. There's a reason for this. A reason that lives deep in how your brain processes the world. The ocean's waves move in a slow, repetitive rhythm that the brain reads as safe and predictable. Watch them for a moment, even if only in your mind's eye. Each wave rises, crests, and falls. Then another, and another. There's no surprise here. No sudden change. No threat. Just rhythm. Steady. Reliable. Eternal. And your brain, always scanning for danger, always alert for the unexpected, begins to relax. Because predictability means safety. Rhythm means order. And in that recognition, your nervous system can let go, just a little, of its constant vigilance. This isn't just poetic. This is biological. Your brain is designed to respond to patterns in the environment. And the ocean offers one of the most consistent, most soothing patterns in all of nature. Rise and fall. Rise and fall. Again and again. It's like a lullaby, but not with music. With motion. With the simple, timeless cadence of water meeting shore. And as you watch, or imagine, or simply allow yourself to feel that rhythm, your own internal rhythms begin to synchronize. Your breathing slows to match the waves. Your heartbeat steadies. The frantic pace of thought begins to space out, like waves themselves, with more silence between each one. And then there's the sound. Oh, the sound of the ocean. It's unlike almost anything else you'll encounter. Ocean sounds act like natural white noise, softening sudden or sharp sounds. Think about the last time you were near water, near the sea. Maybe you noticed how all the usual sounds of life, the traffic, the voices, the mechanical hums of modern existence, they all seem to fade. Not because they weren't there, but because the ocean's voice, its constant rushing, its gentle roar, created a blanket of sound that absorbed everything else. White noise works by filling the auditory spectrum evenly, masking the jarring sounds that would normally pull your attention. And the ocean does this naturally, perfectly. The crash of waves, the hiss of foam retreating over sand, the deep rumble of water moving over itself. All of these sounds blend into a continuous stream that tells your brain, nothing urgent here. No alarms. No threats. Just the steady presence of water doing what water has always done. And in that acoustic embrace, your mind can rest. Because there's nothing you need to react to. Nothing you need to process or evaluate or respond to. Just sound. Constant. Soothing. Safe. But the ocean offers something more than just predictability and acoustic comfort. It offers something that researchers call soft fascination. Watching rolling waves is softly fascinating, holding attention without effort. This is a particular kind of attention. Not the hard, focused attention you need when you're solving a problem or reading something complex, but a gentle attention, the kind that allows your mind to wander while still being loosely anchored to something in the present moment. You've experienced this. You're sitting by the water, watching the waves, and time seems to dissolve. You're not thinking about your to-do list. You're not planning or worrying or analyzing. You're just watching. And in that watching, there's a kind of meditation. A natural meditation that doesn't require technique or effort. The waves are fascinating enough to keep part of your awareness engaged, but not so demanding that they require your full attention. This balance is rare, and it's deeply restorative, because it gives your overworked, overstimulated mind a chance to rest while still being gently occupied. And something even more specific happens in the brain during this state. Repeating wave patterns can shift the brain toward relaxed alpha waves. Alpha waves are the brain's way of resting while awake. They appear when you're calm but alert, when you're in that state just before sleep, or during deep relaxation, or in meditation. And the rhythmic, repetitive nature of ocean waves, both their visual pattern and their sound, encourages your brain to fall into this state naturally. Your brain loves patterns. It's constantly looking for them, predicting them, synchronizing with them. And when it encounters a pattern as stable and gentle as ocean waves, it begins to entrain, to match its own electrical rhythms to the rhythm of what it's perceiving. This isn't something you do. It's something that happens. Your brain waves literally begin to slow, to move into those longer, slower alpha frequencies. And as they do, you feel it. A softening, a gentle letting go, a sense that you're sinking slowly, peacefully, into something deeper. And here's something beautiful. You don't even need to be at the ocean for this to happen. Many people find imagining a quiet beach naturally slows breathing. Just the thought of it. Just the memory or the fantasy. Imagine yourself there now. A quiet beach. Maybe early morning, when the world is still soft and new. Or late evening, when the light is golden and the day is releasing its hold. You're standing on the sand, or sitting, or lying down, feeling the warmth beneath you. And you hear the waves. You see them rolling in, one after another. And as you imagine this, as you let the scene build in your mind, something shifts in your body. Your breathing changes. It deepens. It slows. This isn't voluntary. This is your nervous system responding to the image, to the idea of the ocean. Because your brain doesn't entirely distinguish between vividly imagining something calming and actually experiencing it. The same neural pathways light up. The same relaxation response is triggered. And so just by bringing the ocean into your mind, by allowing yourself to rest in that mental image, you begin to receive its gifts. The slowing, the softening, the gentle descent into calm. This is the first layer of the ocean's power. The surface, the arrival, where you meet the rhythm, the sound, the soft fascination of waves, where your brain begins to recognize safety, begins to let go of its constant scanning and planning and worrying, where the simple, timeless pattern of water meeting shore becomes a doorway into something deeper, into rest, into peace, into the kind of calm that doesn't require effort, only permission. Permission to stop, to watch, to listen, to let the ocean do what the ocean has always done. Not just to the shore, but to you. To anyone willing to pause at its edge and simply be. So let yourself be here now, at the surface, where the waves roll in, predictable and safe, where the sound creates a blanket of comfort, where soft fascination holds you gently, not demanding anything, just offering a place to rest your weary attention, where your brain begins to slow, to shift into those peaceful alpha rhythms, where even the imagination of a quiet beach begins to change your breathing, to signal to your body that it's safe to relax. This is the beginning, the first calm, the moment before the descent. And it's enough, more than enough, because in this moment, in this simple arrival at the ocean's edge, you've already begun the journey toward rest, toward sleep, toward the deep, peaceful places that the ocean has always known how to reach, not through force, not through effort, but through rhythm, through sound, through the simple, eternal presence of water meeting shore again and again and again. Breathe with the waves now. Let each inhale be the rise, each exhale the fall. Feel how natural this is, how right, how ancient. Your body knows this rhythm. It's been coded into you for as long as humans have walked beside water. And now, as you rest here at the surface, that ancient knowing begins to wake up, begins to remember, begins to guide you gently deeper, toward the calm, toward the quiet, toward the vast, peaceful ocean of sleep. But we're not diving yet, not rushing. We're just here, at the edge, letting the first calm wash over us, letting the waves do their work, letting the sound, the sight, the rhythm, the soft fascination of it all begin to work its magic, begin to slow the mind, begin to soften the body, begin to open the door to something deeper. And in this opening, in this first arrival, there is already peace, already rest, already the beginning of letting go. The ocean doesn't ask you to do anything. It only asks you to be here, to witness, to receive, and in that simple presence, in that gentle witnessing, the transformation has already begun. The slow descent into calm, into quiet, into the endless, embracing peace of the ocean. Rest now. Just rest. The waves will continue. They always do. And as they continue, as they roll in, one after another, you can simply let go. Let the ocean hold you. Let the rhythm carry you. Let the sound surround you. Let the soft fascination guide you. And let yourself sink slowly, peacefully, into the first calm, the beginning, the surface, where everything starts to slow. The body begins to rest. Now that you've arrived at the surface, now that your mind has begun to slow in the presence of the waves, something else starts to happen. Something deeper. Something physical. Because the ocean doesn't just calm your thoughts. It calms your body. And this isn't metaphorical. This isn't just a feeling. This is measurable, biological, real. Listening to ocean sounds can lower stress hormones and blood pressure. Scientists have studied this. They've brought people into laboratories, attached monitors to measure heart rate, blood pressure, cortisol levels. And then they played recordings of the ocean. Just the sound, the wash of waves, the rhythm of water. And what they found is remarkable. Within minutes, measurable changes begin to occur. Heart rate slows. blood pressure drops. Cortisol, that stress hormone that floods your system when you're anxious or overwhelmed, it begins to decrease. Not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily, gently, like the tide going out. Your body is responding to what it hears. And what it hears in the ocean's voice is safety. Because for all of human history, water has meant life. It's meant survival. A place with water is a place where you can rest, where you can recover, where the fundamental needs of existence are met. And so when your ears pick up that sound, that ancient, familiar rhythm of waves, your nervous system receives a message. It says you're safe now. You can let go. You can stop being on guard. And your body, always listening to these signals, always responding to what the environment tells it, begins to shift. From tension to ease. From vigilance to rest. From fight or flight to rest and digest. And this shift isn't small. It's not trivial. When your stress hormones drop, when your blood pressure lowers, your entire system moves toward healing, toward restoration, toward the kind of deep physiological rest that allows your body to repair itself, to restore its resources, to prepare for true, restorative sleep. The ocean sound isn't just pleasant. It's therapeutic. It's medicine for a nervous system that's been running too hard, for too long, in a world that never stops demanding your attention. But it goes even deeper than stress hormones. Ocean sound therapy has been linked to deeper, higher quality sleep. And this makes sense when you understand how sleep works. Sleep isn't just one thing. It's a series of cycles, moving from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep and back again. And the quality of those cycles, particularly how much time you spend in deep, restorative slow-wave sleep, determines how rested you feel when you wake. Many things can disrupt these cycles. Noise, light, stress, an overactive mind. But ocean sounds, with their consistent, rhythmic quality, help protect those cycles. They create what sleep researchers call a masking effect. Throughout the night, there are sounds. A car passing. A door closing. The house settling. Your partner shifting beside you. Normally, these sounds can pull you out of deeper stages of sleep, fragmenting your rest, preventing you from getting the full restorative benefit of those precious deep sleep phases. But when ocean sounds are playing, they create a continuous acoustic environment that masks these disruptions. The sounds that would normally wake you or lighten your sleep simply blend into the gentle roar of waves. They're absorbed, neutralized, and your sleep remains unbroken, allowing you to move through those cycles naturally, completely, receiving the full gift of each stage. People who use ocean sounds for sleep often report not just sleeping longer, but sleeping better, waking more refreshed, feeling more restored. Because it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. And the ocean, even in recording, even as sound alone, protects and enhances that quality. It creates a sonic sanctuary where your body can do the deep work of rest without interruption. And here's something that might surprise you. Even recordings of waves can activate the body's relaxation response. You might think, well, it's not the real ocean. It's just a recording. How can that have the same effect? But your body doesn't make that distinction as clearly as your conscious mind does. When your ears hear the pattern of waves, when your auditory system picks up that rhythm, that frequency, that familiar wash of sound, your nervous system responds. The relaxation response is triggered. This is the opposite of the stress response. where stress activates your sympathetic nervous system, preparing you to fight or flee. The relaxation response activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, your healing mode. This response is characterized by very specific changes. Your breathing deepens and slows. Your heart rate decreases. Your muscles release tension. Blood flow shifts away from your extremities and toward your core organs, supporting digestion and restoration. Your immune system becomes more active. Even your brain waves change, moving toward those slower, more peaceful frequencies we talked about earlier. And all of this can be triggered by sound. By the simple act of listening to waves, real or recorded, allowing that sound to wash through you, allowing your body to respond to what it recognizes as a signal of safety and calm. This is why sleep and white noise apps often use ocean sounds. Because they work. Because among all the possible sounds you could listen to, gentle rain, forest ambience, wind, fan noise, ocean waves have a particular quality that makes them especially effective. They're gentle and continuous. There are no sudden spikes in volume, no jarring changes, no elements that pull your attention or startle your nervous system. Just a steady flowing presence. A sound that's there without demanding to be noticed. A sound that supports rest without interrupting it. Think about other white noise options. A fan can be soothing, but it's mechanical. There's something artificial about it, something that lacks the organic variation of natural sounds. Rain can be beautiful, but it's inconsistent. Sometimes harder, sometimes softer. Sometimes with thunder. Ocean waves, though. They have variation, yes. Each wave is slightly different, but within a consistent range, within a predictable rhythm. They're natural, so they have the organic quality that feels right to our ancient brains. But they're steady enough to provide that continuous masking effect that protects sleep. It's the perfect balance. Natural but consistent. Varied but reliable. Engaging enough to mask disruptions, but gentle enough to not become a disruption themselves. And there's a name for what happens when you spend time with water, when you allow yourself to be influenced by its presence. Scientists and researchers call it the blue mind state. Blue, for the color of water. Mind, for the particular quality of consciousness that water seems to evoke. This isn't just relaxation. It's a specific neurological state characterized by calm, peacefulness, a sense of unity and connection. When you're in a blue mind state, your brain shows reduced activity in areas associated with worry and rumination. The default mode network, that part of your brain that's constantly thinking about the past, planning for the future, worrying about problems, it quiets down. At the same time, areas associated with present moment awareness, with creativity, with emotional connection, they become more active. It's almost like a natural meditation state. And water, particularly the ocean, seems to be one of the most reliable ways to access this state. Even just looking at blue, the color itself has been shown to have calming effects. But combine that with the sound, with the rhythm, with the vastness and the gentle motion of waves, and you have something extraordinarily powerful. A natural doorway into a calmer, more peaceful way of being. People describe the blue mind state in different ways. Some say it feels like their thoughts slow down and spread out, becoming less dense, less urgent. Some say it feels like a weight lifting, a tension they didn't even know they were carrying suddenly releasing. Some say it feels like coming home, like returning to something they'd forgotten but always knew. And this isn't just subjective experience. Brain imaging studies show real changes, measurable shifts in neural activity. The blue mind state is real. And the ocean, perhaps more than anything else in nature, has the power to evoke it. So as you lie here now, listening to these words, perhaps imagining the ocean or listening to its recorded voice, your body is already responding, already moving toward rest. Your stress hormones are beginning to decline. Your blood pressure is lowering. Your nervous system is shifting from stress to relaxation. The conditions for deep, high-quality sleep are being established. The continuous, gentle presence of ocean sound is creating a protective bubble around your rest, ready to mask disruptions and preserve your sleep cycles. And your consciousness is beginning to drift toward that blue mind state, that calm, peaceful, present awareness that water has always invited us into. This is not something you have to make happen. This is something that's already happening. Your body knows how to rest. It's been doing it since before you were born. The ocean is simply removing the obstacles, simply providing the conditions, simply reminding your nervous system that it's safe to let go, safe to stop monitoring, safe to descend into the deep, restorative rest that you need and deserve. And as this happens, as your body begins to truly rest, you might notice things. A heaviness in your limbs, a softness in your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your breathing becoming so slow and so deep that you almost forget you're breathing at all. It just happens, in and out, like waves, like the ocean itself breathing through you. This is your body's wisdom. It's ancient knowledge of how to heal, how to restore, how to prepare for sleep. And the ocean, with its sounds, with its rhythms, with its timeless presence, is simply helping that wisdom to emerge. You don't need to do anything now. You don't need to try to relax. You don't need to force your body into rest, because it's already happening. The ocean is doing its work, lowering your stress, deepening your calm, protecting your sleep, inviting you into that blue mind state where everything is soft and slow and safe. All you need to do is allow it. Allow the sounds to wash through you. Allow the rhythm to entrain your breath, your heartbeat, your brain waves. Allow your body to respond the way it was designed to respond to the presence of water, with trust, with ease, with a deep, grateful letting go. And as you allow this, as you surrender to the ocean's influence, you might find yourself sinking, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, sinking deeper into rest, deeper into calm, deeper into that boundary space between waking and sleeping, where everything is soft and nothing demands your attention. This is the body beginning to rest, truly rest, not just pausing, but releasing, not just stopping, but healing, not just quiet, but restored. The ocean has been doing this for people for thousands of years, calling them to its edge, offering them its rhythm, its sound, its blue mind peace. And now, tonight, it's doing this for you. Your body is listening. Your nervous system is responding. Your stress is melting away like foam dissolving into sand. And with each moment, with each wave, with each breath synchronized to the eternal rhythm of water meeting shore, you're moving closer, closer to sleep, closer to dreams, closer to that deep, oceanic rest where the body heals and the mind finally, lets go. Rest now. The ocean is with you. Its sound surrounds you. Its rhythm carries you. And your body, wise and ancient and knowing, is already beginning to rest. A vast, holding world. Now that your body has begun to rest, now that the waves have done their work of calming your nervous system and inviting you into that blue mind peace, let's go deeper. Not into the water itself, not yet, but into an understanding, an awareness of just how vast this ocean truly is, how all-encompassing, how completely it holds this planet, and by extension, holds you. The ocean covers about 71% of Earth's surface. 71%. Think about that for a moment. Not half, not most, but nearly 3/4 of everything. If you could see the Earth from space, really see it as the astronauts do, what you would see is blue. Overwhelming, endless blue. The continents, the land masses where all of human civilization unfolds, where all of history has happened, where every person you've ever known has lived their entire life, all of that is just the interruption. Just the occasional break in an otherwise complete covering of water. This is a profound truth that we rarely stop to consider. We live on land. We think of ourselves as land creatures. We draw our maps with the continents at the center, the ocean as the space between. But from a larger perspective, from the view of the planet itself, it's the other way around. This is a water world, a blue planet. And we, all of us, everything we've built and done and dreamed, we exist on small islands within a vast, continuous sea. And there's something deeply comforting about this. This creates the feeling of being held inside a single, continuous blue world. Imagine that. Not separated waters. Not different oceans in different places. But one ocean. One massive body of water that wraps around the entire planet. The Pacific flows into the Indian. The Indian flows into the Atlantic. The Atlantic flows into the Southern. And the Southern flows back into the Pacific. It's all connected. All one. A single embrace of water that holds the earth. And because you're on this earth, because you're part of this planet, you're held too. Even if you're far from the coast. Even if you've never seen the ocean with your own eyes. You live within it. Within its influence. Within its vast, surrounding presence. The air you breathe has been touched by it, has passed over its surface, has been humidified by its evaporation. The water you drink has moved through it, has been part of its currents, has risen from it as clouds and fallen as rain. The temperature of your day, the weather outside your window, all of it has been shaped by this massive body of water that wraps around your planet like a blanket. This isn't poetry. This isn't metaphor. This is literal. The ocean is always there, always present, always surrounding you, even when you can't see it. And knowing this, really feeling this, can bring a sense of safety, of being held, of existing within something so much larger than your individual concerns, your daily worries, your momentary struggles. The ocean doesn't know about your problems. It doesn't care about your deadlines or your conflicts or your fears. Not because it's indifferent, but because it operates on a scale so vast, so timeless, that it puts everything into perspective. And part of what makes the ocean such a stabilizing presence isn't just its size. It's what it does. The top layers of the ocean store heat and release it slowly, stabilizing the planet. Think about what this means. The sun beats down on the Earth's surface, delivering enormous amounts of energy. If that energy just hit land and stayed there, temperatures would swing wildly. Blazing hot during the day, freezing cold at night, scorching in summer, icy in winter. Life as we know it would be nearly impossible. But the ocean absorbs that heat, takes it in, holds it. Water has an extraordinary capacity to store thermal energy without changing temperature dramatically. So the ocean acts like a massive battery, a heat reservoir that absorbs the sun's energy during the day and releases it slowly at night. That absorbs warmth during summer and releases it gradually through winter. This moderating effect is why coastal areas have milder climates than inland regions. Why islands often have such comfortable, stable weather. The ocean is constantly working, constantly balancing, constantly smoothing out the extremes. And there's something profoundly reassuring about this. About knowing that this vast body of water is, in a sense, taking care of things, maintaining balance, preventing chaos. It's been doing this for billions of years, long before humans existed, and it will continue long after we're gone. There's a steadiness to it, a reliability. The ocean isn't just large, it's stable. It's a force for equilibrium in a world that can feel chaotic and unpredictable. And within all this vastness, within all these billions of gallons of water, there are names. We've given names to different parts of this one ocean, carved it into regions we can grasp, can talk about, can relate to. The Atlantic, the Indian, the Arctic, and the largest of all, stretching from Asia to the Americas, covering nearly half of all the water on Earth, is the Pacific. The Pacific Ocean's name comes from the Latin word for peaceful. Pacifico. Peaceful. The explorer Ferdinand Magellan named it this when he sailed across it in the 16th century and found its waters, after the storms of the Atlantic and the treacherous passage around South America, to be remarkably calm. Vast beyond comprehension, yes, but calm, peaceful. And so he gave it that name. And that name has endured for 500 years. There's something almost magical about that. The largest ocean on Earth, the body of water that contains more space, more life, more mystery than anywhere else on the planet, is named for peace. Not power, not depth, not majesty, peace. And knowing an entire ocean is named for peace can itself be soothing. It's like the planet itself is telling you something, whispering a message. That even in vastness, even in depth beyond understanding, there can be peace. There can be calm. There can be a quality of gentleness that pervades. Think about that as you rest here now. The Pacific Ocean, peaceful ocean, covering almost half the world's water. More than 60 million square miles of surface. An average depth of over 2 miles, plunging in places to depths of more than 6 miles. Holding half of all the ocean water on Earth. And it's called peaceful. Not occasionally peaceful. Not peaceful in places. But peaceful as its essential nature. As its name. As its identity. This isn't to say the Pacific is always literally calm. There are storms there. Typhoons. Massive waves. The ocean has moods, has moments of power and fury. But there's something beneath that. Something fundamental. A quality of the Pacific that speaks to peace. Perhaps it's the sheer size. Perhaps it's the way its vastness puts everything into proportion. Perhaps it's the recognition that something so large, so deep, so all-encompassing, operates on a timescale where human urgency dissolves into insignificance. Or perhaps it's simpler than that. Perhaps Magellan, after months of struggle and storm, simply needed to believe in peace. Needed to see it, to name it, to make it real. And in naming it, and calling this vast water peaceful, he gave a gift to everyone who would come after. A reminder, a beacon, a name that would be spoken millions of times over centuries, each time reinforcing the idea that peace is possible, that peace exists, that somewhere on this planet, covering half the world's water, there is a peaceful ocean. And you can borrow that peace now. You can let it be yours. You don't need to travel to the Pacific. You don't need to see it or swim in it or sail across it. You simply need to know it's there. Know that right now, as you lie here, as you breathe, as you sink towards sleep, the Pacific Ocean is rolling peacefully beneath the moon. Its waters are absorbing heat and releasing it slowly, keeping the planet stable. Its waves are rising and falling in that eternal rhythm. And its name, peaceful, is as true now as it was 500 years ago when an exhausted explorer first spoke it. This is the gift of vastness, the gift of being held inside a continuous blue world. It puts you in perspective. Not in a way that makes you feel small or insignificant, but in a way that makes your worries feel smaller, your stress feel lighter, your problems feel more manageable, because you're part of something so much larger than yourself. You're held within it, surrounded by it, supported by it. The ocean doesn't judge you, doesn't expect anything from you, doesn't need you to be anything other than what you are. It simply holds you, the way it holds everything else on this planet, the way it's been holding the earth for billions of years, with patience, with steadiness, with a kind of love that's so vast and so impersonal that it includes everything, excludes nothing, and asks for nothing in return. And as you rest in this awareness, as you let yourself feel the presence of this vast, holding world, something shifts. The space around you seems to expand. The air seems to hold more possibility. Your breath seems to move more freely. Because you're not alone. You're not isolated. You're not a separate, struggling individual trying to make it through another day. You're part of a water world. You're held within the ocean's embrace, even if that embrace is invisible, even if you can't see or touch the water. It's there. 71% of the Earth's surface, storing heat, releasing it slowly, keeping everything balanced. Named, in its largest expression, for peace. And that peace is available to you. Not as something you have to create or earn or achieve, but as something that already exists. Something that's been here all along. Something as vast and deep and continuous as the ocean itself. So let yourself be held now. Let yourself rest in that vastness. Let the knowledge of the ocean's size, its constancy, its stabilizing presence, seep into you. Let the name Pacific Peaceful become a mantra in your mind. A reminder, a promise. That peace is not just possible. It's fundamental. It's woven into the very fabric of this planet. It's there in the water that covers most of the earth. And it's there for you whenever you need it, whenever you remember to reach for it. You are held. You are surrounded. You are part of a vast, continuous, peaceful blue world. And in that world, in that embrace, you can rest. You can let go. You can trust that everything is being taken care of. The ocean is doing its work. The planet is being stabilized. And you, small and precious and perfectly held, can simply be, can simply rest, can simply allow the peace that's been here all along to finally, gently reach you. Breathe with that now. Feel it. The vastness holding you. The peace surrounding you. The ocean, always there, always working, always wrapping around this blue planet like a protective embrace. And know that as you drift towards sleep, as you descend into your own depths, you're not falling into emptiness. You're falling into that same embrace, that same vastness, that same peaceful ocean that holds the entire earth. And in that holding, in that vast and gentle presence, there is nothing to fear, nothing to resist, nothing to do but surrender, to let go, to trust, and to rest in the arms of a peaceful ocean that's been waiting all along to hold you. Leave the surface behind and discover what lies beneath. Because the surface, as beautiful and rhythmic as it is also where the disturbances happen, where the wind creates waves, where the storms rage, where all the chaos of the world above meets the water below. But you don't have to stay there. You can descend. You can let yourself drift down, away from all of that, into something calmer, something quieter, something that exists regardless of what's happening above. Below the surface, storms quickly fade and the water becomes calm. This is one of the ocean's great secrets, one of its most comforting truths. You've seen footage of storms at sea, perhaps? Massive waves, towering walls of water, ships pitching and rolling, fighting against the fury of wind and current. It looks terrifying. It looks like chaos that extends down forever. But it doesn't. It's surprisingly shallow. Just a few feet below the surface, even in the middle of a violent storm, the water begins to calm. The waves that tower 20, 30, 40 feet high are really just surface disturbances. They're the top layer being whipped by wind, responding to the energy of the atmosphere. But that energy doesn't penetrate deeply. Go down 10 feet, 20 feet, and the motion becomes gentle. The violence becomes rolling. The chaos becomes sway. And the deeper you go, the calmer it gets. At 100 feet down, you might not even know there's a storm above. The water moves, yes. Everything in the ocean moves. But it moves slowly, peacefully. In those deep, ancient currents that have nothing to do with weather, nothing to do with the temporary tantrums of wind and air. Down there, the ocean is doing what it's always done. Moving slowly, holding steady, continuing its eternal circulation, completely unconcerned with what's happening at the surface. Think about what this means for you. Right now. Tonight. Whatever storms are happening in your life, whatever chaos is swirling at your surface, your worries, your stresses, your overwhelming responsibilities, they're surface phenomena. They feel all-encompassing. They feel like they go down forever. But they don't. Just beneath them, deeper in you, there is calm. There is steadiness. There is a part of you that continues its slow, ancient movements regardless of what's happening above. This is what we're descending toward now. That deeper part. That calmer place. And the ocean is showing you how to get there. How to sink below the storms. How to let the surface disturbances fade above you while you drift into something quieter, something more essential, something that was there before the storms came and will be there long after they pass. Most of the ocean continues its slow movements regardless of surface chaos. This is worth really understanding. The ocean has currents. Deep, massive rivers of water that move through the depths, driven not by wind but by differences in temperature and salinity. These currents are called thermohaline circulation, and they move incredibly slowly. It can take 1,000 years for water to complete one full circuit through these deep currents. 1,000 years. That's not time as we understand it. That's geological time. Deep time. Time so slow that human lives, human concerns, human storms, all of it is just a flicker. And down in those depths, in those slow currents, the ocean just continues. It doesn't react to storms. It doesn't speed up when the surface is chaotic. It doesn't pause when everything above is calm. It simply moves at its own pace, in its own rhythm, following patterns that were established millions of years ago, and will continue millions of years into the future. There is something profoundly stabilizing about this. About knowing that beneath all the noise, beneath all the temporary chaos, there is something that just continues. Steady. Reliable. Unconcerned. You have this too. Beneath your worries. Beneath your stress. Beneath all the surface storms of your mind. There is something in you that just continues. Your breath. Your heartbeat. The deep processes of your body that keep you alive without you having to think about them. These are your deep currents. And they don't stop when life gets chaotic. They don't speed up or slow down based on your stress. They just continue. And you can sink into them. You can let your awareness drift down from the noisy surface of your thoughts to the quieter depths where these processes live. Where things just happen. Where you don't have to do anything. Where everything is taken care of. And as you descend, as you move away from the surface, something else changes. Sound becomes muffled with depth, and the ocean grows quieter. This is partly physics. Water is denser than air, and sound behaves differently in it. High-frequency sounds, the sharp ones, the sudden ones, they don't travel well in water. They get absorbed quickly. What travels in the ocean are low, rumbling sounds. Whale songs. The deep groan of shifting ice. The low-frequency hum of waves collapsing far away. But even these sounds are softened, gentled, made dreamlike. And the deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. There's less life making noise down there. Fewer creatures clicking and calling. Less movement disturbing the water. Until, in the deepest parts, in the trenches and abyssal plains, there is something approaching true silence. Not complete silence, never that. The ocean is always moving, always making some sound. But a silence so profound, so vast, that it becomes almost a presence itself. A quality of quietness that wraps around you like a blanket. Imagining this silence can create a sense of deep personal space. Close your eyes. Picture yourself sinking down through clear water, the light fading, the sounds of the surface, the crashes, the rush growing distant, muffled, like they're happening in another world. And around you, that vast, blue silence, not empty, full of water, full of presence, but quiet, so quiet that you can hear your own heartbeat, your own breath, the small sounds of your own body that usually get drowned out by the noise of life. This is your space, your deep personal space, a place inside you that the noise of the world cannot reach. It's always been there, but you forget about it. You stay at the surface where everything is loud and demanding and urgent. But you don't have to. You can descend. Right now. You can let yourself sink into that inner silence. That place where the storms can't follow. Where the chaos fades. Where everything becomes soft and slow and infinitely peaceful. And here's something beautiful about sound in the ocean. Even though high-frequency sounds fade quickly, even though most noise is absorbed, low ocean sounds can travel vast distances, fading gently over time. A whale's song, sung in the right frequency, can travel thousands of miles through the ocean, from one side of a basin to the other, across entire seas. Other whales can hear it, even though it's faint, even though it's been traveling for hours or days. The sound doesn't disappear suddenly. It doesn't get cut off or blocked. It just fades. Gradually, gently, getting softer and softer until eventually it blends into the background hum of the ocean itself. And there's something deeply peaceful about this. About sounds that fade gently. That don't jar or shock or demand. That simply diminish, slowly, into silence. This is what's happening to the noise in your mind right now. As you descend. As you drift deeper into rest. All those thoughts, those worries, those things that seem so loud and urgent at the surface, they're fading. Not disappearing. They're still there somewhere, but getting softer, more distant, less demanding, like a sound traveling through deep water, losing its urgency, blending gradually into the gentle hum of your deeper mind. You don't have to push them away. You don't have to fight them or suppress them. You just have to keep descending, keep drifting down. And as you do, as you move deeper into this quiet space, they'll fade on their own. Naturally. Gently. The way sounds fade in deep water. Still there, if you really listen for them. But so soft now. So distant. So easy to let them go. And in this fading, in this gentle diminishing of noise, there is relief. There is space. There is room for you to just be, without the constant input, without the demands, without the surface storms and their urgent crashing. Just you, in deep, muffled quiet, in your own personal space, in the calm that exists beneath everything else. The ocean is teaching you something profound here. It's showing you that you don't have to engage with every storm. You don't have to respond to every wave. You can let them happen at the surface while you rest in the depths. You can let the noise exist up there while you sink into silence down here. This isn't avoidance. This isn't denial. This is wisdom. The wisdom of knowing when to engage and when to descend. When to be at the surface and when to drift into your depths. And right now, tonight, as you prepare for sleep, This is your time to descend, to drift away from noise, to let the storms fade above you while you sink into that calm, muffled quiet where sleep lives, where rest lives, where your deep currents continue their slow, steady movement, unconcerned with surface chaos. So let yourself go now. Let yourself sink. Feel the water around you, supporting you, holding you. Feel the sounds of the day fading, growing softer, more distant. Feel your thoughts losing their urgency, their edge, their power to disturb you. They're just sounds now. Low, distant sounds traveling through the deep water of your mind, fading gently, gradually, into the vast, peaceful hum of your deeper self. And as they fade, as the noise diminishes, notice what's left. Notice the quiet. Notice the space. Notice how much room there is in this silence. How peaceful it is. How safe. How completely and utterly restful. This is where you belong right now. Not at the surface. Not fighting the storms. But here. In the depths. In the quiet. In that place where most of the ocean lives, continuing its slow movements, completely regardless of what's happening above. You are safe here. You are held. You are surrounded by vast, muffled quiet. And in this quiet, in this deep personal space that the world cannot penetrate, you can finally let go. Can finally stop listening to the noise. Can finally rest in the silence that's been waiting all along to receive you. Drift now. Let yourself sink deeper. Away from the surface. Away from the storms. Away from the noise. Down into the calm. Down into the muffled quiet. Down into the vast, peaceful depths where everything is soft and slow and silent and safe. The storms will still be there tomorrow. But right now, they're fading. Getting softer. Growing distant. And soon, very soon, you won't hear them at all. Just the gentle hum. Just the deep quiet. Just the sound of your own breath, your own heartbeat, your own deep currents, moving slowly, peacefully, through the vast, quiet ocean of sleep. The slow world below. You've drifted away from the noise now. The surface storms have faded above you. The chaos has grown distant and muffled. And here, in this deeper place, you begin to discover something remarkable. Something that changes your understanding of time itself. Because down here, in the ocean's depths, time doesn't move the way it does at the surface. It doesn't rush. It doesn't hurry. It doesn't count minutes or hours or even years the way you do. Down here, time is something else entirely. Something vast. Something patient. Something so slow that it barely resembles time as you know it. Deep ocean currents move so slowly that a drop of water may take over 1,000 years to circle the globe. 1,000 years. Let that settle into your mind for a moment. A single drop of water, sinking into the deep currents near Greenland or Antarctica, begins a journey. It moves along the ocean floor, pushed by subtle differences in temperature and salt content. It flows through dark trenches. It passes beneath continents. It circles through basin after basin, ocean after ocean, moving at a pace so glacial, so profoundly unhurried, that it makes human time seem like a frantic flicker. 1,000 years to complete one circuit. That means a drop of water that's traveling in these currents right now began its journey around the year 1025. Before the Norman Conquest, before the Crusades, before the Renaissance, before the printing press, before the discovery of the Americas. That water has been traveling slowly, steadily, through absolute darkness, through crushing pressure, through cold that never changes, for longer than most nations have existed, for longer than most languages have been spoken, for longer than your family tree can trace back. And it's still going, still moving, not in a hurry, never in a hurry, just continuing, following the same path it's always followed, moving at the same pace it's always moved, patient beyond human comprehension, because the ocean has nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. It simply is. And it moves through its cycles on a time scale that makes human urgency look absurd. Think about what this means. Think about the perspective shift that happens when you truly grasp it. All your deadlines, all your rushing, all the things that feel so urgent, so pressing, so demanding of immediate attention, set against a time scale where a journey takes 1,000 years, where patience is measured in centuries, where nothing hurries because there's literally all the time in the world. Your stress, your urgency, your sense that you need to do everything right now, it's a surface phenomenon. It's the wind making waves. Down here, in the slow world below, urgency doesn't exist. There's only the deep, steady continuation of processes that have been unfolding since long before you were born and will continue long after you're gone. And these slow currents, these patient flows, they're not idle. They're not meaningless. These currents quietly carry heat and nutrients, stabilizing Earth over centuries. This is the thermohaline circulation we touched on earlier. But now, let's really understand what it does. As water sinks in the cold polar regions, it carries with it dissolved oxygen and nutrients. It flows along the ocean floor, moving from pole to equator and back again, taking hundreds of years to complete each leg of its journey. And as it goes, it distributes. It balances. It ensures that heat isn't concentrated in one place while other places freeze. It ensures that nutrients aren't depleted in one region while they pile up uselessly in another. This is the ocean doing the slow work of maintaining global equilibrium. Not in days or months. Not even in years. But in centuries. In millennia. The ocean is patient enough, stable enough, to think on timescales that dwarf human civilization. And it's been doing this work, this quiet, essential work, since long before humans existed. Since long before any creature walked on land. The ocean has been stabilizing the earth, moving heat and nutrients through its slow currents, maintaining the conditions that make life possible, for hundreds of millions of years. And it's doing it right now. Even as you rest here. Even as you breathe. Somewhere in the deep ocean, water that sank 200 years ago is rising slowly, bringing nutrients to the surface where they'll feed phytoplankton, which will feed krill, which will feed fish, which will feed whales. The cycle continues. The slow work continues. Patiently. Endlessly. Without anyone watching or thanking or even noticing most of the time. There's something deeply reassuring about this. About knowing that beneath all the chaos of human activity, beneath all our rushing and striving and panicking, there are processes this deep, this slow, this reliable. processes that don't depend on you, that don't need your attention or your management, that simply continue. Taking care of things on a scale so vast that your individual life, your individual problems, become a single breath in a 1,000-year journey. And in those depths, in that slow-moving darkness, some deep ocean water has been in darkness for hundreds of years, not just moving slowly, but existing in complete absence of light. The sun's rays penetrate, at most, a few hundred feet into the ocean. Below that, it's twilight, and below 1,000 feet, it's absolute darkness. Darkness so complete that creatures who live there have either evolved to make their own light, or have given up on vision entirely. And the water at those depths, the water moving in those slow currents, it hasn't seen sunlight in centuries. It sank into the depths 200, 300, 500 years ago, and it's been traveling in darkness ever since. Moving slowly, holding cold, carrying its nutrients and its dissolved gases, doing its work in absolute blackness, not waiting for light, not needing light, just being, just moving, just existing in a state so far removed from the bright, frantic surface world that it might as well be a different universe. Imagine that. Imagine water that hasn't seen the sun since before your great-great-great-great-grandparents were born. Water that has been traveling in cold, dark, patient silence through the deepest parts of the planet, touching no surface, seeing no sky, just flowing. Slowly, endlessly, as part of a process too vast and too slow for human minds to fully grasp. This makes the deep sea feel older and calmer than human history. Because it is older, it is calmer. Human history, all of it, recorded history, civilization, agriculture, cities, nations, all of it is maybe 10,000 years old. A blink, a momentary flicker. The deep ocean has been doing what it does for hundreds of millions of years. It was here before the dinosaurs. It will be here long after humans are gone. It is older than mountains, older than continents in their current form. It is, in many ways, the oldest, most stable, most patient thing on this planet. And that age, that deep time, it brings a quality of calmness that nothing else can match. Because when you operate on a time scale of millions of years, when your processes take centuries to complete, when you've been doing the same essential work since before mammals evolved, you don't get rattled. You don't panic. You don't hurry. There's no concept of urgency because there's no such thing as late. There's only the slow, steady continuation of what has always been. This is the feeling you can sink into now. This ancient calm. This geological patience. This sense that you are part of something so much older, so much larger, so much more stable than your individual worries, that those worries begin to lose their grip. Because time in the ocean moves without urgency. This is perhaps the most important truth of the deep sea, the most valuable lesson it has to teach. Time here is not measured in seconds ticking toward a deadline, not in minutes counting down to an appointment, not in days racing toward some future obligation. Time here is measured in currents that take 1,000 years to complete their cycle, in water that stays dark for centuries, in processes that have repeated, unchanged, for longer than human language has existed. Time here is so vast, so patient, so fundamentally unhurried that it redefines what time means. And you can borrow this. You can let this oceanic sense of time seep into you. You can stop measuring your life in urgent minutes and start feeling it in deeper rhythms. Your breath, which is not urgent, which happens whether you think about it or not, which continues in its own patient cycle. Your heartbeat, steady, reliable, beating out its rhythm at its own pace, unconcerned with your to-do list. The slow processes of your body, digesting, healing, growing, all happening in their own time, on their own schedule, without your conscious management. These are your deep currents. These are your 1,000-year cycles. Not literally, but in essence. They remind you that not everything has to happen now. Not everything is urgent. Not everything requires your immediate attention or action. Some things, the most important things, happen slowly, patiently, in their own time. And trying to rush them, trying to force them to move faster, doesn't help. It only creates more surface chaos, while the deep work continues at its own pace anyway. So let yourself rest in this slow world below. Let yourself feel the patience of water that takes 1,000 years to circle the globe. Let yourself absorb the calm of darkness that has lasted for centuries. Let yourself align with time that moves without urgency, that simply continues at its own deep, steady, unhurried pace. Nothing needs to happen right now. Nothing needs to be resolved tonight. Nothing requires your urgent attention in this moment, because you're in the slow world below, where time is measured in centuries, where patience is the fundamental quality of existence, where everything that needs to happen will happen slowly, steadily, in its own perfect time. Your thoughts can take 1,000 years to complete their cycle if they need to. Your worries can drift in darkness for centuries. It doesn't matter, because down here, in this deep, slow, ancient place, there is no rush. There is no deadline. There is only the patient continuation of processes that have been unfolding since before you existed and will continue long after you're gone. And in that continuation, in that vast, slow patience, there is peace. There is rest. There is the recognition that you don't have to carry everything right now. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You can let things move at their own pace. You can let time be what the ocean knows it to be. Not urgent, not pressing, but patient, vast, slow, and completely, utterly, profoundly calm. Rest in that now. Rest in the slow world below. Let the deep currents carry you. Let the darkness hold you. Let time lose its urgency and become what it truly is. Not a tyrant, not a deadline, but a vast, patient flow. 1,000-year journey. A continuation that doesn't need your management or your worry. That simply is and will be forever. Breathe slowly, like deep water moving, like time in the ocean, without urgency, without rush, just breathing, just being, just resting in the slow, patient, ancient world below. Night beneath the waves. You settled into the slow world below. You felt the patience of currents that take 1,000 years to complete their journey. You've absorbed the calm of time that moves without urgency. And now, as you continue to descend, as you drift deeper still into the ocean's embrace, you notice something changing. The light. What little light filtered down from the surface, that bright, clear illumination that made the upper waters shimmer and dance, it's fading now. Dimming. Transforming into something softer, something more mysterious, something that exists between day and night. You're entering the ocean's twilight zone. Not the surface anymore. Not the bright, sunlit shallows where divers swim and fish shimmer in schools. But something deeper. Something quieter. A place where day never fully arrives. But night hasn't quite taken over either. The ocean's twilight zone is dim and bluish, like an endless underwater dusk. This zone begins around 600 feet down and extends to about 3,000 feet. And throughout this entire vast layer of ocean, the light is constant, not changing with the time of day, not brightening with sunrise or darkening with sunset. Just this perpetual, peaceful, blue-gray twilight. Imagine what that looks like, what it feels like. You're suspended in water that glows with a soft, diffuse blue light. Not bright enough to see clearly. Not dark enough to be frightening. Just dim. Peaceful. Like the sky about 20 minutes after sunset, when the stars are just beginning to appear, but there's still the gentle glow on the horizon. That moment that feels like neither day nor night, but something in between. A liminal space. A threshold. And the ocean holds this moment, this quality of light, constantly, unchanging, in this entire vast layer that contains more water than all the world's rivers and lakes combined. There's something deeply calming about twilight, about dusk. It's the time when the world naturally slows down, when birds return to their nests, when the busyness of day begins to release, when your own body, responding to the dimming light, starts to produce melatonin, that gentle chemical that whispers to your cells that it's time to rest. And here, in the ocean's twilight zone, it's always that time. Always dusk. Always that gentle, peaceful moment when day is letting go and night is preparing to receive you. And as you drift through this twilight, as you let yourself be held in this dim blue space, you can feel your own internal twilight beginning. That state between waking and sleeping, where thoughts become less defined, less urgent, where logic softens into dream logic, where you're still aware, but less sharply, still present, but more loosely. This is your own twilight zone, the place you pass through on your way to sleep. And the ocean is showing you that this place is not something to rush through. It's a space worth inhabiting. A peaceful, dim, gentle place where you can simply float, simply be, simply exist in the soft blue space between waking and dreams. But the ocean doesn't stop at twilight. As you continue to descend, as you drift deeper still, that dim blue light begins to fade completely. And below it lies the midnight zone, where permanent night begins. This is the realm that starts around 3,000 feet and extends down to about 13,000 feet. And here, the sun's light never reaches. Not dim. Not faint. Completely absent. This is night. True night. Permanent night. Night that has lasted for millions of years and will continue for millions more. In your mind's eye, let yourself cross that threshold. From the dim blue twilight into the absolute black of midnight. And notice what happens. Notice that the darkness isn't frightening. It's not threatening. Because you're held. You're surrounded by water, by the ocean's constant presence. And this darkness, this absolute absence of light, it's not empty. It's full. Full of water. Full of life, strange and beautiful life that makes its own light or needs no light at all. Full of slow currents, full of ancient patience, full of a peace so profound that it can only exist in complete darkness, far from the surface world's demands and distractions. This is the midnight zone. And most of Earth's living space exists here, in this permanent night. Most of the ocean, most of the volume of water on this planet, lives in darkness. Not because something is wrong, not because light has been taken away, but because this is the ocean's natural state. This is what most of the ocean is: dark, deep, quiet, and completely, utterly peaceful. And here, in these depths, something remarkable happens. In these depths, temperatures remain nearly unchanged year-round. At the surface, water temperature shifts with the seasons. Warm in summer, cool in winter, fluctuating with weather patterns. But down here, a mile deep, 2 miles deep, the temperature is constant, right around 35 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit, just above freezing. And it stays there, always, whether it's January or July, whether there's a storm raging at the surface or perfect calm, whether it's day or night at the surface, though of course it makes no difference down here where night is permanent. This constancy is extraordinary. Think about how much your own environment changes. The temperature outside, the weather, the seasons cycling through their endless variations. Hot days and cold nights, humid summers and dry winters. Your body constantly having to adapt, to adjust, to maintain its internal temperature against these external fluctuations. It's exhausting, though you rarely think about it. It's one of the constant, invisible demands that your system has to manage. But not here. Not in the midnight zone. Here, everything is stable. The temperature never changes. The pressure never changes. The darkness never changes. And this creates one of the most stable and peaceful environments on Earth. Perhaps the most stable environment anywhere on the planet. Because stability means predictability. Stability means no surprises, no shocks, no sudden demands for adaptation. Stability means that life can slow down, can conserve energy, can exist in a state of profound calm because nothing is demanding otherwise. This is what your body craves, especially when it's time to sleep. Stability, consistency, an environment that doesn't demand constant adjustment. And while you can't control everything in your physical environment, you can create an internal environment that mirrors the midnight zone stability. A mental space where nothing is changing, nothing is demanding, nothing is pulling your attention this way and that. A space of darkness, not scary darkness, but peaceful darkness, where you can rest in the knowledge that nothing needs to happen, nothing will happen, nothing can disturb the deep stability of this place. And the life that exists here, the creatures that have adapted to this permanent midnight, they embody a wisdom worth learning. Life here moves slowly, quietly, and without rush. There's no reason to hurry in the midnight zone. Food is scarce, so creatures have learned to conserve energy. Movement is slow, deliberate, efficient. There's no frantic chasing, no desperate fleeing. Just slow, ghostly drifting. Quiet waiting. Patient existing. Many creatures here are nearly transparent, their bodies adapted to invisibility in the darkness. Others produce their own light, bioluminescence, but they use it sparingly, carefully, only when needed. Because energy is precious here. Because rushing is pointless here. Because the midnight zone has taught these creatures what the surface world keeps forgetting. That slowness is wisdom. That quietness is strength. That rushing through life burns resources and achieves nothing that patient waiting wouldn't achieve better. Watch them in your mind. These deep-sea creatures, drifting through absolute darkness. A jellyfish, barely visible, pulsing slowly. So slowly. Each pulse deliberate. Conserving energy. Moving just enough. Never more than necessary. A deep-sea fish, hanging suspended in the black water, barely moving, waiting. Patient. Knowing that food will come eventually. Knowing that rushing won't make it come faster. Knowing that the only sustainable way to live in this stable, unchanging environment is to match its pace. To be slow. To be quiet. To be without rush. This is the lesson of the midnight zone. This is what it teaches anyone willing to descend into its depths. That peace comes from stability. That rest comes from darkness. That wisdom comes from slowness. That the most profound calm exists not at the busy, bright, changeable surface, but here, in the deep, dark, stable night beneath the waves. And you can become like these creatures now. You can adapt to your own midnight zone. The darkness behind your closed eyelids. The stability of your body, lying still, held by your bed the way the ocean holds its creatures. The slowness of your breath, each inhale and exhale becoming more deliberate, more conserved, more patient. You can stop rushing. Stop trying to get to sleep, to force it, to make it happen. You can simply drift. Simply wait. Simply exist in this stable, dark, peaceful place, knowing that sleep will come. Not because you're chasing it, but because you've created the conditions. You've descended into your midnight zone. You've found the place of stability and darkness and slowness. And here, in this place, sleep is inevitable, natural, as certain as the darkness at 3,000 feet. Let yourself rest in this now, in the midnight zone of your own consciousness, where it's always night, where the temperature never changes, where nothing demands your attention or your energy, where life moves slowly, quietly, without rush, where you can be like those deep-sea creatures, drifting, waiting, existing in profound peace. The surface world is far above you now. Its light doesn't reach here. Its chaos doesn't penetrate here. Its urgency has no meaning here. You're in the stable place, the unchanging place, the dark, quiet, peaceful place where the ocean keeps most of itself, where most of Earth's living space exists, in permanent night, in constant temperature, in absolute stability. And in this stability, in this darkness, in this slow, quiet existence, there is nothing to fear, nothing to resist, nothing to do but surrender to the peace of the midnight zone, to let it hold you, to let it teach you its wisdom of slowness, to let it show you what the surface world keeps forgetting, that you don't have to hurry, you don't have to struggle, you don't have to force. You can simply drift, simply exist, simply rest in the endless, stable, peaceful midnight of the deep ocean night. Breathe slowly now, like a creature in the midnight zone, conserving energy, moving just enough, each breath deliberate, peaceful, patient, and feel the darkness around you. Not empty darkness, full darkness, darkness filled with water, filled with stability, filled with the profound peace of a place that never changes, that never demands, that simply is. And as you rest here, as you float in your own midnight zone, you can feel sleep beginning to approach, not rushing, not forcing, but drifting toward you the way you're drifting toward it, moving slowly, quietly, without rush. Because here, in the stable darkness, in the unchanging peace, sleep doesn't have to chase you, and you don't have to chase sleep. You simply meet in the midnight zone, in the place of permanent night, where everything is stable, where everything is slow, where everything is peaceful, and where rest, at last, complete and total rest, is not just possible, but inevitable. Let go now. Let the midnight zone hold you. Let the darkness embrace you. Let the stability surround you. And drift slowly, quietly, peacefully into the deep, unchanging, eternal night beneath the waves. Closing feeling. And so here you are, deep in the ocean now, far below the surface, far from the storms and the noise and the chaos of the world above. You've descended through twilight into midnight, through the bright, busy layers into the dark, stable depths. And here, in this place, you've found something precious, something rare, something that the ocean has been holding for you all along. Peace.